Hey, future IELTS champs. Ready to take on that listening section?
Can be a bit of a whirlwind, right?
Definitely a lot of information coming at you fast.
But the good news is
Yeah.
we've got this really cool resource
Okay.
that's all about note-taking,
Awesome.
specifically for getting that band 7 or higher.
That's what we like to hear. I mean, everyone wants to get at least band 7 or higher.
Absolutely.
So this deep dive is all about note-taking for the IELTS listening test. But I have a feeling these tips are going to be useful for way more than just that.
Oh, for sure. Like even just thinking about it,
Yeah.
note-taking is essential for remembering things, but it's also really key for staying focused
Oh, interesting.
during something like a test
Right.
or a lecture or a meeting. I kind of think of it like having a roadmap, you know?
Well,
You don't get lost in all the information.
love that analogy, a roadmap for your brain. And the source really emphasizes how important note-taking is for success on the IELTS listening section.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So where do we even begin with all of this?
Well, you know how in a telegram, every word costs money?
Oh, yeah, back in the day.
So you'd want to choose your words very carefully.
Right. Use only the absolutely essential words.
Exactly. And that's basically the core idea here.
Got it. So we're talking about keywords, like names,
Yes.
dates, places.
Exactly. And don't forget, signal words.
Signal words.
Yeah, those little words that kind of guide you through the information. Things like, however, first, or most importantly.
Oh, so it's like they're giving you a heads up that something key is coming next.
Exactly.
Okay, I like it. So how would this actually work in practice? Can you give us an example?
Sure. Let's say the speaker says, the lecture will be held on Wednesday, March 15th at 3:00 p.m. in room B14.
Okay, a lot of information there.
Right. So instead of trying to write all of that down,
Yeah.
you're going to streamline it.
Okay, so maybe something like WED, Mar 15, 3 p.m., ARM B14.
Perfect.
Nice.
Concise and clear.
That is a great example. I can already see how this would be helpful, not just for the IELTS, but anytime you're trying to take notes quickly.
Absolutely. It's a skill that's useful in so many situations.
Okay. So we've got the keyword extraction down. What's the next level of note-taking wizardry?
Ooh, next level. Well, how about we add a bit of secret agent flair to it?
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Okay, so the source talks about using abbreviations and symbols as your secret weapon.
Okay, I have to admit, I'm a little bit worried about this one. I feel like I would just create this super complicated code that I would never be able to understand later.
Oh, I totally get that. I've been there.
Yeah.
But that's why the source really emphasizes starting simple
Okay.
and being consistent.
Yeah.
You know, think of common abbreviations like
Yep.
W for with or AN for an.
Right. Okay. Those make sense. So, for example, how would I condense a sentence like, the museum is closed on Mondays, but opens at 9 a.m. on all other days?
Okay, let's see. What could we do there?
Okay. So, Mon closed, 9 a.m. open, other days.
Boom. Perfect.
Wow. That is so much faster to write.
And you'll still be able to understand it when you go back to review your notes.
Okay, this is brilliant. I feel like my note-taking speed is already increasing exponentially, but it occurs to me that sometimes, even with like the best shorthand, even if I am like super fast at writing things down, sometimes the IELTS listening test is just like,
Yeah.
it throws you a curveball. Like, what happens if I miss something?
Right. That's a great question. And I think it's a perfect moment to talk about active listening
Okay.
because that can really help with that.
Okay, so tell me more. What exactly is active listening, and how is it different from just like hearing the words?
It's like you're not just hearing the words, but
Yeah.
you're really engaging with the information
Okay.
and picking up on these subtle cues
Yeah.
that tell you what's important.
So it's like reading between the lines almost.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm really intrigued by this. What kind of cues should we be looking out for?
Okay, well, think about the speaker's tone of voice.
Okay.
Are they serious, excited, hesitant?
Right.
Those subtle shifts can really signal key points.
Okay.
And also pay attention to pauses,
Interesting.
because a lot of times a pause will come right before a piece of crucial information.
Oh, so it's like they're giving you a little warning
Right.
to get ready.
Exactly.
Okay.
Get ready. Here comes something important.
I like it. So are there any ways that we can practice this active listening?
Yeah, so the source suggests practicing with sample IELTS tests
Okay.
and seeing if you can kind of predict the answers based on the flow of the conversation.
Oh, that's really clever. So
Yeah.
basically, we're training ourselves to be more like detectives, piecing together all the clues to unlock the meaning.
Exactly. You've got it. You're not just a passive note taker. You're an active participant in the whole listening process.
Okay, I love this. But it brings us back to my earlier question,
Yeah.
which is what happens when, despite my best efforts, I do miss something?
Right. And that's something that we can talk about in the next part of our deep dive
Perfect. Can't wait.
because it happens to all of us.
It does.
But there are things that you can do, strategies that you can use to recover and get back on track.
Stay tuned, everybody.
Just
All right,
stay on
so we're
track.
back.
Back again.
And ready to tackle those moments of note-taking panic
Yeah.
when you feel like you've missed something important.
Right. Because, even with the best active listening skills in the world, it's so easy to get thrown off
Oh, yeah.
by like a tricky accent or
Yeah.
someone who's speaking super fast.
Totally.
It happens.
So in those moments,
Yeah.
what's the secret? How do we stay calm and
Right.
collected when we feel like we're falling behind?
Well, the source has some really practical advice for these situations.
Okay, good. Lay it on us.
So first of all,
Yeah.
don't panic.
Okay, easier said than done.
I know, but seriously, it happens to everyone.
Right.
And freaking out is just going to make it harder to focus.
True.
Just take a deep breath and then try to kind of assess the situation.
Assess the situation. Okay.
Yeah. Like, what exactly did you miss? Was it a specific detail?
Oh, okay.
Like a name or a date?
Right.
Or have you completely lost track of, like, the main idea?
Right.
The overall flow of the conversation?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Those are two very different situations.
Exactly. So if you're just missing a detail, like a name or a date,
Yeah.
you can often use context clues to kind of fill in the blanks later on.
Oh, okay.
But if you've like totally lost the thread of the conversation, then it's better to just focus on catching the next main idea
Okay.
rather than trying to go back and figure out what you missed.
So almost like hitting the reset button
Exactly.
and just jumping back into the current of the conversation.
Yeah, exactly. And don't be afraid to use your shorthand or even just like jot down a couple key words
Okay.
just to capture the essence of what's being said.
Hmm.
You can always go back and try to flesh out your notes a little bit more during the break between sections.
Right. That's a good point. Use that break time wisely.
Absolutely. It's not just for like catching your breath or whatever. It's a really valuable opportunity to review your notes,
Yeah.
clarify anything that's confusing, and kind of mentally prepare for the next section.
Oh, I love that. It's like a little mini debriefing session in your brain.
Exactly. Use that time to regroup, refocus.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of different note-taking techniques, you know, keywords, abbreviations, symbols. But what if someone's listening to this and they're thinking, I've tried all these things and I can't find a note-taking style that really clicks for me?
That's a great question. And I think the important thing to remember is that there is no one-size-fits-all approach.
Okay, good, because I was starting to worry.
So it's really about finding what works best for you,
Okay.
for your unique learning style, for the way that your brain processes information.
That makes me feel a lot better. So it's about experimenting and maybe even combining different techniques.
Exactly. Some people are very visual learners, and they might thrive using like mind maps or diagrams.
Yeah.
Other people might prefer a more linear text-based approach.
Right.
It's all about personalizing it.
So true.
And here's a little secret.
Ooh, a secret.
The more you practice,
Yeah.
the more you'll start to notice patterns
Okay.
in the types of information that come up in the IELTS listening test.
Oh, that's a good point. So the more you practice, the better you'll be at predicting what to expect, and therefore you can tailor your notes accordingly.
Exactly. You'll start to develop a sense of what's truly essential
Mm-hmm.
and what you can safely leave out.
So helpful. But, even with all the best techniques and all the practice in the world,
Yeah,
note-taking can still feel a little overwhelming at times.
for sure. It's a skill.
Right.
And like any skill, it takes time and practice to develop.
Totally. So are there any common pitfalls
Oh, yeah.
or traps that we should be aware of?
Definitely. Even with the best intentions, there are certain note-taking traps that we can fall into.
Okay, and I think that's the perfect topic for the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good to me.
Let's do it. Okay, so let's talk about those note-taking traps.
Yeah, these are the things that even when you have the best intentions, you can still fall into these traps.
Right, exactly. So
Yeah.
fill us in. What are some of the things we should look out for?
So one of the biggest mistakes I think people make
Yeah.
is trying to write down absolutely everything they hear.
Oh, yeah.
It's like trying to catch a tidal wave in a teacup.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah, you end up with this like jumbled mess, and you've probably missed
Right.
all the important stuff in the process.
Exactly. And the source really emphasizes that less is more
Okay.
when it comes to effective note-taking.
Less is more. Got it. What's another one?
Another common pitfall is not being selective enough with those keywords we were talking about earlier.
Right. Because it can be tempting to just write down like every word that sounds important.
Yes, and then you end up with like a whole paragraph.
Yeah.
When you could have just had like 2 or 3 words.
It's like trying to fit an entire encyclopedia entry onto one of those tiny little sticky notes.
Exactly. So you have to really prioritize and use those abbreviations and symbols to condense things down.
Okay, so quality over quantity when it comes to note-taking.
For sure.
Every word has to earn its place.
Exactly.
But it's not just about the words themselves, right? Like,
Right.
There's also the trap of thinking about note-taking as just this, like, passive activity.
Yes, just kind of mindlessly scribbling things down.
Yeah, you're not really engaging with what you're hearing.
Exactly.
It reminds me of, like, the difference between just hearing a song and actually, like, listening to the lyrics and, like, appreciating the nuances.
Yes, totally.
So you're saying that we need to be more active listeners even when we're taking notes?
Absolutely. The source really encourages this idea of staying present and focused and curious
Ooh, curious. Okay.
throughout the entire listening process.
Okay, I like that.
And asking yourself questions as you listen.
Okay, like what kinds of questions?
Like, what's the main point here? How does this connect to what was said earlier?
Oh, that's really interesting. So it's like, instead of just blindly writing things down, we're trying to actively make connections.
Yes.
And find patterns in the information.
Exactly. And that shift in mindset can make a huge difference.
I love that. It's like we're transforming from like passive note takers into active meaning makers.
Yes, I love this.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive.
I'm glad.
I feel like I have a whole new set of note-taking superpowers.
Awesome.
But like with any superpower, I know that it takes practice.
Exactly. And the more you practice these techniques
Right.
and figure out which ones work best for you, the more confident and effective you'll become as a note taker.
So true. And you know what? It's not even just about the IELTS.
Right.
It's about becoming a more engaged and empowered learner in all aspects of our lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a skill that can benefit you in so many different areas.
Well, this is a perfect place to wrap up
Yeah.
our deep dive into the world of note-taking.
It's been fun.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from keywords to abbreviations,
Active listening.
active listening, yes, common pitfalls.
Strategies for when you miss something.
Exactly. So much good stuff. And a huge thank you to our expert for all of the amazing insights.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
And to you, dear listeners, keep those pens and keyboards ready and embrace the power of note-taking. Until next time, happy learning.